Well, my given name is William Yule, and I suppose, technically a retired professor of applied child psychology, psychologist, worked with families and so on, teaching people, doing research all my life, really.
William, how do you personally define achievement?
I don't know what I do. I suppose it's partly what, um, not what makes you tick, but makes you feel good about something you've done, that you've achieved something. Um, but yeah, I've personally got into this with a very simple idea of wanting to help people, and that's where we are. Yeah.
And you wanted to help young people specifically?
Not originally, no, no.
So, how did you get into child psychology?
Well, I mean, I started out at home in Aberdeen. Went to university to study mathematics, intending to have my goal was to become a maths teacher in a secondary school. And so the way the Scottish system was then, and still is in part, you take a broad set of subjects in your first year. And at the end of that time, I had covered more mathematics than I would ever teach in a secondary school. Well, okay. There was a further 3 years stretching ahead of me. And so my second year, just out of interest, I took a course in introductory psychology. And as I got interested in that, I got totally bored with mathematics. And I was able to switch and do my second and third year of psychology in my third year of studies, and still ended up after 4 years. That's that was me switching. And at that point, this I remember is 1962. I came down here to the Maudsley to do a 1 year course in clinical psychology. And the ambition was to go back home to Scotland anyway and work with people with mental health problems. I never got there. I'm still down here. And I take exception, not to you, but to this idea that somehow working with children is a specialist subject, because in my view that marginalizes it. And there's a whole set of uh, discussions we're having about setting up procedures and services for people after disasters, and they're talking about all these things that need to be doing and special groups. Well, children are what, anything from 20 to 50% of the population, depending where. You can already call that a special group, and you've got to be able to cover a whole load. So, hence my reacting to the word special. That's all. But children are special, but not in that other sense. Yeah. Late on in my career, really, you may remember, I think you might, the capsize of the Herald of Free Enterprise at Zeebrugge, the cross-channel ferry. And I was asked to see the kids who had survived that. There were about 30 on board. And so I did, being a nice person, wanting to help. And that totally changed my career and life and so on, because I'd never come across such raw emotion among the kids and their parents. And it took a while to understand it, to find others who would be interested in working in that area, to find ways of treating them. And so that's what I've been doing since 1987, I think, really.
So, I'm interested, Professor Yule, in how you define success when you are treating a child that has survived trauma?
Okay. In a sense, it's not up to me to define it. It's whether they feel it's been helpful, whether they feel better, whether they feel able to do the things that otherwise they couldn't have done. So, yes, one is very concerned that the reactions that they've developed as a result of a traumatic event and are preventing them developing further, that those are much more under their control, and that they can, sorry, don't want to get too technical, but a lot of the time, people who've been traumatized will have horrible, vivid memories of what happened, which come at all sorts of times. And teenagers, for example, get very worried that they're going mad because suddenly they're seeing things or hearing things. Once they know that they are seeing and hearing parts of their memory, then they can get ways of controlling that. It doesn't get rid of the memory, but it means that they're back in charge. And if they can do that, they can then, in school, they can settle down, they can be less jumpy, they can attend better, they can learn more, and that opens up or reopens their life again. So that would, to me, would be successful, that they feel better able to cope.
So it's about enabling their development.
Yes, and them feeling that they're no longer out of control of their lives and themselves. I mentioned earlier that there are fairly predictable ways that children react to a major stress. And by major, I mean that they thought they were going to die, or they saw other people being killed. I mean, big things, not just that they can't find an extra cup of sugar or something for I mean, real stresses. And so we know that any of us, if there's something we're scared of, the natural reaction is to push it away, not deal with it. And that is a big thing that needs working on. So we help the kids fairly quickly to be able to deal with their bad dreams, with their intrusive memories of noises or of visions, and how to calm themselves down, and then how to confront the feared thing without getting too upset. And we do that in, I think it's 5 sessions with the group.
Wow.
We've got a quicker one. With teenagers, we worked with a very good colleague who's spent his life, most recently in Texas, looking at ways of using structured writing to get people to talk about, or rather to write about their emotions to do with an event. And we got that down to 6 sessions, each of, I'll say it carefully, 15 minutes. You do 2 of these each day for 3 days. And we've got evidence from a lovely study in Iran of adolescents who were badly traumatized. They got on top of their traumatic event